Please excuse the hat as I'm running back and forth between the studio and the office, trying to get things done. I am planning to take a few days off starting Thursday through Saturday to celebrate the holiday season with my family and just to take a break and relax. Maybe I'll do some painting. Painting definitely relaxes me, and I have a lot of painting to do. Uh, so basically in this video I'm going to give a little update, and then we're going to talk about the custom lizardman army that I'm building in 15 millimeter. And I have a 28 millimeter lizardman army that utilizes various manufacturers of miniatures, including Reaper miniatures, some of the GW stuff, and a few other random things that I threw in there to make my lizardman army. Well, in 15 millimeter, I'm doing the same thing. I'm using different scales to represent different things in the army. And more importantly, I am making a little conversion uh, involving some old Warhammer Fantasy figures that I had, some big lizards. And I'm making these little removable Howdas for them. And these are going to be heavy support units in the army. Plus, I have a couple of other units that I want to show, and some of the painted lizardmen, or on their way to be painted, because I removed them from my pile of shame. And I have quite a few 15 millimeter miniatures in my collection, different armies, and a good number of them need painting. So this is a good time. That's what I'm going to be doing these next couple of weeks, is just try to catch up on a lot of my painting and start to add these miniatures into the usable miniatures for our games that are coming in 2022. And Julie and I are thinking of really experimenting with these games using a lot of the smaller scales. There's a lot of advantages using 15 millimeter or even smaller. 1/72 scale, which is a nice intermediate scale. You know, these are all just really cool scales to work with as well if you don't have a lot of space. Okay, so let's move on to the Lizardmen army now, and I can show you guys what I've been working on.
This is my studio bench, and today I have a simple project that I'm working on. It's simple but a little tedious because working a bit small with pieces that are a bit small. I wanted to add some heavy support units for my 15 millimeter Lizardman army, and I'm using these old Warhammer Fantasy figures that I've had for a very long time, and I haven't even painted them yet. I'm gonna paint them. And so I decided that I wanted to make some removable howdahs. And removable because this way, if I want to use the lizard in another game, right, in a 28 millimeter game, I can just remove the howdah and it's back to some kind of, big pet or something. Big familiar that I can use in other armies. But for right now, it's going to be a heavy support unit, a giant lizard for my 15 millimeter lizardman army. So I'm working on the other howdah here, and I'll show some of the considerations. Now, first things first, these are roughly about an inch long. This one here is a little over ½ inch wide. Basically, I use these old washers to base my little frog dudes here. And so that's what I'm using because these are also on quite a few of the Splinter Light Miniatures figures, the Lizardmen that I have. And I know that they'll fit nicely here as well. So if I want to, I have a variety of different figures that I can put on the Howda. So here's the guy right here. And again, I don't need, this will probably be for some kind of like a wizard character or a character. I don't need to have like 10 figures on there, one's enough to just kind of show that, this thing is being driven by someone, right? So everything's very modular, and that's the key. So basically, I'm using the shape of this figure. This figure is quite chunky, And if we look at the rear legs here, very nice and chunky. And it has all these scales for the pieces of toothpick to cling onto. And so really, I don't have to do much. They kind of cling on to the figure through tension, right? Because here you can see how the toothpicks angle here. Now, so what I did is I started by drilling a few holes into the wood with my Dremel, a very, very thin drill bit, and puncture that so that I can get the little cocktail sticks through. And I'm using these are little like cocktail sticks that I'm using. They're thicker than toothpicks. Okay. So once I have my holes in there, I can drive the toothpicks through, and they become my little support for the Howda. Okay, so I'm going to show what I do next. And this one is nice and very nice and sturdy. If I feel that it needs a little bit more sturdiness, I add some mounting medium, a very tiny bit amount of mounting medium, and this stuff will stabilize the Howda and keep it in place. And when I need it off, I just pull it out and get the little mounting medium off. So it has enough grip that it holds the Howda in place, but it doesn't damage the model in any way. So let me start adding the toothpicks, just show you guys what the different steps are from here. Okay, so first I'm just going to add little goblets of white glue, and notice that I keep the figure in there just so that I know where the where the limits of its base are. Now I will use a little bit of Procreate later once this dries. A little bit of Procreate on in these areas will help to really cement the piece. Also, tacky glue is great stuff. It dries nice and hard. So, all right, now just fix up the little Howda bit there. Again, if I find it's a little bit wobbly, I'll just attach it with a little mounting medium. And that's just something, it's important for me to have that modularity so that I can use the figure in multiple games so that it's not specialized to any one game. So I'm going to start cutting my toothpicks. Okay, and then I'm using the very little toothpicks that are sticking out and kind of building the Howda around them. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do this. This is just one way, but there are a lot of different ways to do this, as you can imagine. And I'm going to explore other ways in the future. This Howda is also going to be a little bit different because I want to put a heavy weapon such as a ballista or something like that. And again, it's okay if the toothpicks stick out, that's fine. There we go. Just want to straighten it. It's okay if they stick out a little bit from the sides, that's fine. This one, the back one, let's start that one. And it's a little bit shorter than the front, and that's okay. Who knows, maybe a shaman up here with spell bombs or some kind of like primitive bomb that they could drop on troops. They can lob on troops and stuff. What I think a wizard with doing like spells, a shaman doing some like fireball spells or whatever would be enough heavy support. Plus the wizard would have good line of sight. Shaman, keep calling them wizards. Shaman. All right, and to give the Howda a little more strength, I added these cross pieces here, okay, and that'll give it a little more strength. This is a little different from the first one I made, all right, and then I'm going to add that bit, maybe some kind of a ballista or something, and I could use plastic bits if I have a 28mm crossbow, which I think I do have. I can just put that there, and that'll save me a lot of construction. If not, I build my own little crossbow. But for now, this is cool. We'll have to let those dry. And there you go. I have some heavy support units for my lizardmen. I'm going to work on this one a little more. And like I said, I could leave them like this, nice and rough. Or I can add a few decorations, maybe some spikes coming out, anything. Really, it's up to the imagination. I'm also going to figure out how to make the removable muzzle that's then going to have a couple of wires coming down from the howdah to the mouth. And there is the whole lot of infantry that I've painted. This guy needs a little bit more work, and I got to work on the base primarily now. And then I'm going to start doing all these guys and the general, which is this bigger lizard man. So taking them out of my pile of shame. And here are the two giant lizards with the howdahs. The glue is drying now, so I'll be able to add a couple more details and get those painted. And then these are some bugs because I've always wanted to add some bug units, giant beetle units to my lizardman armies. I think they go very well together. So maybe have a lizardman shaman who's kind of controlling these guys. And these were all done with Procreate clay, wooden beads, right, from necklace making kits, and an old pistachio shell. That's right, pistachio shell. Now I got to paint these, and of course wire for the antennas and the little legs there. And I really like the way these came out. So I'm going to have a little video on all the bugs that I make with this technique, with these old pistachio nuts. There's actually a ton of different bug critters that I make. Bugs, I could never have enough bugs. Like trees, you can never have enough bugs. I mean, a whole bunch of different games use these giant bugs, right? So if I'm putting them against my 15 millimeter lizardman, we see that these bugs are quite large. Okay, they're giant bugs. And if I decide to use these in 1/72 scale, they look quite well. And of course, if I use them in 28 millimeter, uh, just as well, they look good as giant insects. So if I need giant insects, um, I don't have to buy anything. I just get down and make it. All right, so let's see. I'm going to try not to move the figure too much so that the camera focuses. So I'm working on this one, and as you can see, I'm doing like a little bit of blue towards the end here and mixed with purple. This is inspired by an actual lizard, purple and blue. But you also have geckos and other lizards that I was actually a bit surprised to see uh, in nature. Some really uh, interesting purples and other colors you know. So I'm get tired of painting the same old green lizards. So this is something a little bit different. And I'm not a great painter, guys. I really am not a professional painter at all. I'm just having some fun with these guys. So that's one of my infantry, my primary infantry for my lizardman army. And I'll continue with these.
All right, guys. Well, that is all for this video. I hope you found it useful in some way, shape, or form. I would like to do more videos like this in the future where we talk about army creations for the different games, faction talks, that kind of stuff. I think that's very interesting. Julie and I have been talking about that for 2022. And basically, just put out some of my own ideas about, these army creations and custom armies and things like that. And this Lizardman army I'm planning to use in games of regiments, OPR, Dragon Rampant, 15 millimeter, just a bunch of different games. So, yeah. So I'll see you next time, guys. And I really hope you have a very happy holiday week. No matter what you celebrate, happy holidays. Enjoy it with your families, and I hope that everyone stays safe. Be safe, people, and I'll see you after the holidays, in between the New Year's. Hopefully, Julie and I will have a nice little New Year's talk for the coming week and maybe another game. Who knows? A two-player game. All right. Have a good one, guys. We'll talk very soon.